Okay, welcome to the channel, Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, New South Wales, Australia. First thing you need to know about covert emotional incest is it's going to want you to submit. And the last thing you need to know is you better decide very carefully if you're going to speak up about it. Because something's going to happen if you do. Not many people know what it is. A lot of people don't even know they're doing it. So you've got to be very careful how you approach it and how you manage it. You need to recognize what it is correctly as well. And that's important, because if you call covert emotional incest in a situation where it's not, man, you deserve all that you get, because it's not a very good thing to suggest if it's not real. One thing's for sure, if you have issues with it, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to ask yourself, why is there a sense that you're jealous of, if you're a parent, if you're an adult, of the children, or if you're a partner of one of the adult children, the parent? You've got to ask yourself, if you're feeling that way, why? They're not sleeping with them or anything like that. Jealousy is relative to usually possession. You've got to ask yourself, if you are sensing jealousy, why, and is it legit? And is it because of the relationship going on between the parent and the child, just out of the maternal aspect of it, or is it coming out of a deeper reason for this? What I found was, I don't get jealous about. I can't see the point in getting jealous. If somebody doesn't like you, you let them go, or they're going to go anyway, one or the other. But I did have a lady say to me, you're jealous of my son. He was only a 10-year-old. And I said, well, you're not sleeping with him, are you? Why would I be jealous? Well, I wasn't. And she got it wrong. And then things started to get ugly, because I just wasn't jealous of anyone. And the problem with it was, she was trying to condition me to the way in which she wanted the relationship to work around the parentification of a child, around the enmeshment she had with the child, around the surrogacy she'd made up with the child. She didn't want anybody to violate the space that she created, the relationship that she, extra maternal, I call it extra maternal, I might be wrong, but extra maternal relationship that she created with the child. And I thought, no, hang on a sec, I'm trying to have a relationship with you, and I'm not about to be triangulated by a relationship that you've got going with your child that's clearly surrogate. And of course, she began to manifest. One of her manifestations was immediate passive-aggressive punishment, in the form of no communication, nothing to say. And hey, you know what? When people start to punish, just mirror it, and you'll see what the relationship's worth. 9 times out of 10, these people will not go with the relationship. They'll go with the covert emotional incest, and you'll be just left standing there. That's just how it is. You got to accept that. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be left standing there going, oh, maybe I shouldn't have worried about all that. But the thing is, if you're in a relationship and you're being sidelined, pushed to the side, so these people can carry on a relationship which should be shared with the partner, but they're sharing it in their covert emotional incest side of their life, guys, I'm telling you, you're not going to change it. You need to get out. You need to get out of that relationship, because these people are enmeshed. covert emotional incest, I believe you can take it or leave it. If you split up with a narcissistic character, and you want them to be punished, just hope, if this is your attitude, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but if you want to watch a narcissist go mad, put him in with somebody that's in a serial covert emotional incestual relationship, and you'll watch the narcissist completely unravel, because they cannot, no matter what they try, and they're the experts at it, they cannot manipulate this person into giving them a proper supply. And if a covert emotional, if a narcissist has, be it overt or see, the thing is, a narcissist can stay covert and hide, right? But you put them in with covert emotional incest, and they're competing with a child or an adult, they'll go overt. They'll disintegrate into rage, because they'll be expecting a supply from that person, but the supply won't be there. Covert emotional incest makes narcissism look like a Sunday picnic. You've got to understand how dangerous covert emotional incest is to the mind of the person that's the outsider. Because they'll feed you the intimacy, because that's what they want. They can't get the intimacy out of the family member, the sexual intimacy. They can't get that out of the family member. They have to go outside the covert emotional incest relationship to get the sex. They have to. Right? And then they retract back to their emotional relationship with the emotional incestual partner, which starves the intimate partner. And I'm telling you, it sends you out of your mind. You're literally being deprogrammed on how to function in a relationship, because they don't want your emotional input. They don't want it. They don't want anything to do with it, because they've got an emotional partner. It's either the parent or the adult child. It's unbreakable. It's merciless. It's blatant. It is destructive. It will work on you to deprogram you on all the values of an emotional relationship, because your emotional input won't be called upon, and you'll think, this is so easy, right? I've said to one of my partners, this is just so easy, it's not real. And it wasn't real. You're dealing with a emotionally dead person. You're dealing with, as the relationship goes on and they get away with it, it's like bandaging up a mummy. Every time they get away with it, another wrap of the bandage goes round the covert emotional incestual person. They become more paralyzed. They become more disengaged to you, and they're just getting the sex. Don't listen to what they're saying. They're deprogramming you emotionally. They don't want your emotional input. And the more you go along with the covert emotional incestual relationship, giving favour to that, the more they'll say they love you, etc., etc., and it's all hogwash. I don't care what they say. And by the time it's finished with you, by the time it's all out in the open, by the time you've tried to resolve things and they're starting to realise, oh, this has gone on a little bit too long, and they try and make a run for it, to save the relationship. It's all too late. You're worn out. You're completely worn out. It's devastating. It's demoralizing. I can guarantee you that if you were a fly on the wall, you'd probably be horrified with what you see. It's not about division. It's not about healthy interrelationships, parent to child. This is a whole nother level of monster. And relationships get destroyed. People get destroyed. It's like being in a cult, and you've got to go along with what the cult believes. And if you don't, you'll be shunned. Psychologically, passive-aggressively shunned. In both of my last 2 episodes of Covert Emotional Incest, it was so aggressive, so blatant and so vile, that and I was with the women of the thing, neither of the women, once it was exposed, really injected themselves into the relationship. They just didn't. They tried to nurse the relationship in a way in which they didn't have to confront the problem makers, which were, in my case, the adult children. You'll be blamed. You'll be defamed. You'll be accused. You'll be falsified. And it's all passive aggressive. You'll be villainized. You'll be psychologically abused through the passive aggressive unresolved. And while the unresolved's going on, you've got to understand, if you're with the parent and they're not resolving the issue, they're just leaving it sit, you've got to understand there's resentment building up in that person's mind and heart because they've got a problem that they can't fix, and they know you're aware of it. So somebody's got to pay. If they're not going to resolve it, it's going to be you, because you've brought it to light. So resentment starts building up. Resentment turns to bitterness. And guess what happens? They start to look outside the relationship to escape having to confront the covert emotional incest. And either way, you will pay. Not even a narcissist, the most brilliant narcissist, can beat covert emotional incest. It's unbreakable because it's based on the strongest bond of all, the maternal bond. And the victim side of it, when you come in, most of the time these people have had this done to them and that done to them and this done to them and that done to them. That's the introduction to the movie, to the play. And the final act of the play is them ruining the relationship, crescendoing into back to the covert emotional incest. And if you have dumped them, that's the perfect crescendo to what they self-prophesied, which was another element to their victim manuscript or list of things that have happened to them, because they've just lost another relationship for no reason, apparently. You'll be villainized, you'll be shamed, you'll be demoralized, You'll watch these people just, you'll be ostracized. The person that you're with will not stand up for you. That's the funny one. When you need your partner to just get things in order and they're not, you're saying to yourself, uh-oh, this is not the way in which a relationship should work. And then as your psychological mental health condition deteriorates, and deterioration is always relative to either cognitive dissonance, because you become cognitive dissident to the things that are going on to neglect the relationship for either the... See, there's also negligences towards alcohol and drugs and all this other stuff as well, which brings promiscuousness, which jeopardizes the integrity of the relationship as well. Because if you're with the mother, say, and her grandisements towards the children or the child or the golden child, and somebody comes along and they'll play into that grandioso narrative, then it's highly likely that they'll emotionally begin an affair, and that could lead to a physical affair because you're not buying into that narrative as the partner, and they'll self-soothe through the promiscuous, reckless, careless attention that they're getting from someone that's not dealing with what you're trying to deal with. It's just destructive all the way around. And even the narcissist cannot overcome covert emotional incest, because the narcissist to these people is just another outsider who's going to have to play their part. And if they don't like it, guess what? Too bad. That's how it works, viewers. That's how powerful covert emotional incest is. And you don't realize this until you've watched it play out, until you've put the time in to watch it play out. My innings before this was over a period of 5 years. I did 8 years before that one. And then I just did 2 more years. And the viciousness, the passive-aggressive, the funny part about this was too that the adult child in this one was a narcissist. He had all the traits of a narcissist, and he just could not stand my lifestyle and the way in which I was honouring and treating his mum. I can remember once I just thought, I want to help this woman, you want to get in and contribute. I had to clean the toilet and stuff like this. And there was just little, sarcastic things said. I bought flowers for her once, and there was this sarcastic, mockery of what I was trying to do to honour this lady. And I just thought, I'm not doing that anymore. And it got to the stage where I didn't want to go back. And then I thought, let's turn this around. We'll see if we can get a resolve. Nah. No. And I think the way in which she tried to resolve it was going to work for her, because if I didn't go along with it, she was going to be able to say, well, I tried to resolve it, but he wouldn't do it. The thing is, you don't throw somebody into a snake pit as a way of resolve on an issue so big as the way in which these people were carrying on. I wasn't going to go along with that. It was really, really bad. And what it does is it gets so deep into your mind, because you're trying to make sure that you're not doing anything wrong. You're just trying to keep your integrity intact, and you're just being brutalized in the spirit. And again, it captures you like the narcissistic download. But the covert emotional incest situation has such a serious way in which it penetrates and captivates the mind, because you don't want to do anything wrong to the relatives of this person. But then you get to the point where you go, these people have got no regard for me at all. None. And you start to see it for what it is. And you're just being used. You're being used as a source, as a supply. Because you're not, there is no emotional input needed. There's just not. You're just company and sex, and that's it. And it's really disheveling. See, these people can't see this because they're in it. They've got other stuff going on, and you're straight, and you're watching it, and you're going, come on. Like, really? And then you've got to check your loyalty and your faithfulness ain't blinding you from the life you should be living, because you can't become consumed with trying to get this right, and you can't, because it's not you that's wrong. It's just so destructive and diabolical. Covert emotional incest. Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison. Bye for now.